In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 things you need to have in place in order to identify, attract, and onboard new clients. I use the acronym TABS, T-T-A-B-S. And all of these need to work congruently. They need to be in alignment with one another. The first T is about tactic. That's what you do. The second T is about technique. That's how you do what you do. A is for attitude. That's our perspective, our mindset. And if that's off, ain't nothing going to happen well. And then the B is before behaviors. These are the actions we take that move the needle, meaning if we do a certain number of these actions, these behaviors, then we're going to get a certain amount of appointments, qualified appointments, and onboard a certain amount of clients. And then S is strategy. To have a good strategy in marketing, you need to know your target audience, your prospective clients, and you need to know what their need, their main need is, and their main want. And you need to speak to their need and want in such a way so they have confidence in you and your solution being able to solve their problem. So stay tuned for the video. I'm going to walk you through some slides so it will make a lot more sense for you. And then I'm going to show you how to use these 5 things to have a successful LinkedIn event. So stay tuned. Chaz, TABS is spelled with 1 T, not my tabs. Okay. TABS. If you aren't identifying and attracting people to you and onboarding new clients in a predictable way, I guarantee you it's going to be because of one or more of these 5 areas. Let me break this down for you. Okay. T is for tactic. Tactic is easy to duplicate, like me going to Sales Navigator and sending out a bunch of messages. That's easy to duplicate. You need to have a tactic in place. It's what you do. Sun Tzu, military genius. He wrote the book, Art of War. He said this about tactics. He said, tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. I was getting pretty defeated sending out all these messages. Yes, I had a business, but I had reached a ceiling. And plus my clients, they were following the process, the system, and the tactics within the direct messages, and it was helping them. It was getting a way to get meetings scheduled predictably, but they can only reach a certain level. But you have to have a tactic. It's what you do. Okay. Easy to duplicate, as I mentioned, Sales Navigator. Okay. Technique. How you do what you do. How many people have been in a retail store before and a sales clerk walks up to you? What does that sales clerk walk up to you and say? May I help you? And what do you say? Just looking. Why? Why do you say that? Why do you lie to that poor sales clerk? Because you don't want to be sold. So that is she's using a tactic that's been done that everybody is used to doing. And imagine if the sales clerk did this. She understood technique, she understood tactics, and she understood her audience. People care about who? Themselves. So you got to speak to people based on what's important to them, but you need to utilize psychology. So imagine this. You walk into my store. Welcome to Chaz's retail store. I'm sure you're here just looking, right? I just took that away from you. I'm sure you're here just looking. That's a pattern interrupt. That's a technique. Would you be against me showing you how I can save you 43%? Okay. Which one are you going to respond to as opposed to react? React, if a doctor gives you medication because you're sick and your body reacts, not good. Okay. Respond, a doctor gives you medication, your body responds, that is good. Same if someone walks up to you and said, can I help you? Just looking. Are you guys starting to get this? Are you starting to understand the technique, human psychology, pattern interrupt, and going for no? Are you against me showing you how I can save you 43%? I mean, who would be against that? Okay. So that's a technique. Attitude. All right. And I'm not talking about having a attitude. I'm talking about your mindset, your perspective, how you look at things. Your perspective can be a springboard that takes you into your potential, or it can be an anchor that keeps you stuck in mediocrity. You have to believe in your product. You have to believe in yourself. And at the core of your success is your mindset. Why do I put attitude instead of mindset? Because it would be TTMBS and that would be taboos. It wouldn't be tabs. It's about keeping tabs on what's not working so you can identify it and then correct it quickly. Okay. So you want to have an attitude, a perspective, a mindset that's a springboard. You want to have an attitude that communicates you have confidence in what you do. You are excited about your product, your service, your solution. Make sense? All right. Behaviors. We all have to take action. We have to do behaviors, and we have to take those behaviors and those actions that move the needle. When I say move the needle, I'm talking about if you do 10 of this, if Kelly's reaching out to 10 people versus cold calls or direct messages or events, you should know if I do a certain amount of these behaviors, it's going to lead to a certain result. Okay. You have to know what the behavior is, and you have to know how many of those to get the result that you want. Okay. Strategy. This is the thing I was missing out on. And people in sales, if you all are in sales, have a sales background, I am one of you, by the way. Salespeople can be the worst marketers. I say that coming from a sales background. I've learned marketing and I understand the importance and the power of marketing, spending a lot of time, but the strategy goes to the heart of what marketing is. Sun Tzu, remember I talked about him with tactics? He said tactics is the noise before defeat. He said this about strategy. Strategy is the slowest route to victory. Without a strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. You need the tactic, you need the strategy, you need to have the behaviors, and you need to have the right attitude and the mindset. Okay. So when you have tabs, tactic, technique, attitude, behaviors, and strategy working incongruent with one another, it works. Are you starting to pick up the 5 things? Tactic, technique, attitude, behavior, and strategy. By the way, if you'd like to connect with me, reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me a direct message, or right below my profile photo, there's a place you can schedule and get a sales and marketing analysis. It will only take 20 minutes. Go to my profile on LinkedIn, reach out to me, send me a message, or schedule a time, and I look forward to talking with you. Now, important, coming up, I'm going to show you how we take those 5 things and apply them in real life within LinkedIn events. So stay tuned. So as I worked through this process, I had an aha moment, a light bulb moment. And I thought, wow, I can actually reach a group of people as opposed to going one-on-one. How cool would that be? So let me walk you through the tabs within events, and then I'm going to get into some practical information. Please take notes. This is going to be an event that's about events that if you take notes and you execute on what you learned, you can get results today if you execute on what you learned today. All right. I encourage you to take action. So the tactic is LinkedIn events. It's anyone could do an event, but what type of event are you going to do? Is it going to attract people? Is it going to repel people? Are you going to hold people's attention? So that's the tactic. Technique. When I invite people to events, a lot of time I say, would you be against me sending you an invitation to an event? Just by doing that, more people are likely to say, well, in this case, no, I wouldn't be against it. If you go for no, people are more likely to say yes. Okay. Attitude. I have confidence. You should have confidence in your solution, in your product, your service. And so you need to go into events knowing and understanding that you have something to deliver to help people. You are there to identify. This is going back to strategy.
You can't have a strategy if you don't understand the core problem of your target audience. Okay. The core problem of your target audience. They have a core problem. And when you know and understand that core problem and you speak to it in a way that's educational, inspirational, and entertaining, you're going to connect with them in an emotional way. When you connect with them in an emotional way, they're going to have a bond with you. They're going to start seeing you, knowing you, liking you, trusting you, and most importantly, key distinction in 2023 and beyond, they'll start to see you as an authority. Okay? So the behavior. When I first started doing events, I was doing one event a week as opposed to 100 connection requests a day. Okay, even though you can't do 100 connection requests a day. So do you want to do one event where you're speaking to 25 people? Like when our clients first start doing it, it's like 5 or 8 people. Okay, you start somewhere, but 5 or 8 people as opposed to one-on-one, where you have no influence, where they don't see you as an authority. And sometimes, if you're just reaching out cold, you could be seen as an irritation or a pest. How many people have been pitched on LinkedIn? Okay, me, multiple times each day. Okay, that's an irritation. Okay, strategy. With events, you leverage the events to speak to a group of my or your target audience, building confidence in their mind. So they see me, they see you as being able to solve their problem. Okay, as opposed to a cold outreach, just one-on-one. And like, what's this Chaz guy or Kelly girl? What's she sending me this message talking about this? I don't even know who she is. She's connecting with me and pitching.
Now you understand tabs. I encourage you to apply it to your own business. And for example, if you're not getting results by identifying, attracting, onboarding new clients predictably, that's the key word, predictably, then think about what are those actions I'm taking, the tactic. That's easy to duplicate, as I mentioned. What tactics are you taking? Are you taking an action, the tactic, the thing you're doing? Are you doing it in such a way that you're adding a technique? Tactic is what you do. Technique is how you do it. I mentioned in there because someone asked me a question. They said, what did you mean by, are you against? Well, that's one of the ways, that's a technique. When you go, there's a whole book on this called Go for No. When you go for no, people are more likely to say yes. So that is a technique in approaching someone where they're more likely to respond. Okay, there's a lot more to it, but that gives you a sense. Another thing within technique is if you're talking to someone, just to go in a little bit more depth on the second T, technique, if you're talking to someone and they finish the conversation, this is a prospect, and they say, Chaz or Bob, Sally, I really appreciate this information. I'm interested. Please follow up with me in a week. Now, if you fall into that trap, not good. So here's a technique to help get their attention to frame the conversation that makes sense for them. So they say, why don't you follow up with me for a week? Bob, would it be okay with you, so we don't waste each other's time, to put a time and date in the calendar a week from now? So I'm not having to reach out to you, and then we're going back and forth with either phone tag or email tag or text tag. Would that be okay with you? They're more likely to schedule a time and date in the calendar so you're not following up. Because if you follow up, you're going to follow up, and it'll be a waste of time. So to prevent wasting time, that's a technique that you can use to make sure you have a time and date in the calendar. It's called a clear next step, so that you don't waste their time and you don't waste your time. So check out tabs. Again, if something isn't working, you're not predictably scheduling meetings, you're not predictably going from meeting to client, is it the tactic that you're using? Is your technique off? Or maybe you don't have a technique. Is your mindset set right? If you don't believe in your product or you're lacking confidence, that's going to affect your communication. B is the behaviors. Are you doing those behaviors? If you do a certain amount of them, they move the needle. so that you're getting a certain amount of appointments, a certain amount of clients. Okay. And then S, this is the power that increases the likelihood that people will become your client. In marketing, it's all about, again, building confidence in their mind about you, being able to solve their problem, and just starting to know you, like you, and trust you. That's what a good marketing strategy has. So if you're not scheduling predictably meetings, onboarding new clients predictably, look at the 5 things, tabs, TTABS, and identify which one of those is off. Usually it's more than one. Check it out. Reach out to me if you'd like a sales and marketing analysis, and I will take you through tabs and I'll identify quickly what's not working, why, and give you a path forward.